The Liebherr A954C HD is a high-rise materials handling machine with an operating weight up to 91 tonnes. It's typically used in ports for unloading ships' holds, and the high-rise design gives the operator a good view. And it's fitted with large wheels, so it's easily mobile. This version of the model is in the colours of OBM, a terminal operator in the Netherlands. It comes in a fairly large Liebherr branded box, and as usual there's no information about the real machine. Getting the polystyrene trays out of the box was a little bit of a struggle because it was a very tight fit, but when that's done you can lift the lid and the model's packed inside with some tissue wrapping. This is a heavy model with a high metal content, so you need to be a little bit careful how you lift it out the box. But it's largely assembled, as the only thing you need to add on is the clamshell grab, which is a separate item, and there's also a small bag containing pins for affixing the clamshell onto the machine. There are no instructions with the model, but attaching the clamshell is easy to do. To attach the clamshell, you just need to offer the fixing point up to the end of the stick, and then use the supplied steel pin to make the final connection. As usual, the trick is to get the holes properly lined up before you try to push the pin in, but once that's done you can use perhaps a flat-bladed screwdriver, and that just makes the connection, which was fairly tight on the review model. There's a piece of wire which represents a hydraulic hose, and that just pushes into a connecting point on the clamshell, although it doesn't actually fix and stay in place easily, so it can pop out. There is some detail underneath with the major elements of the transmission and steering modelled, and the whole construction of the undercarriage is very sturdy with big metal outriggers, and there are nice slick tyres on the detailed hubs. There are also some extremely fine grab handles. The turret, which sets the machine up high, is a solid metal piece, and it's good that NZG have replicated the detail of the bolted connections of the cylinder to the machine. There are plenty of ladders and handrails all around the machine, and they're all made of metal. The cab is nicely detailed with a good interior, and there are window sills, mirrors and a good grab rail on the outside, and the walkway has a textured anti-slip surface. There are some more very thin grab rails on the top of the body, and the colour scheme and graphics on this model are really well done and make for a very attractive looking piece. There's some great detailing on the boom where NZG have replicated the alternate boom lifting positions, and the lifting eye is also provided complete with a tiny graphic of a hook. The hydraulics are modelled very well on the boom with hoses running to all of the hydraulic cylinders. At the end of the stick is the clamshell, and it's a well-made metal part. Here you see the Cranes Etc. team carrying out a test of the clamshell hydraulics. Testing out the travelling capability first, and the big fat wheels roll very smoothly. And it is possible to steer the machine because one of the axles has a steering capability. It's a very stiff mechanism, and the range of steering isn't huge, but probably does replicate the steering capability of the real machine accurately. The machine can operate off the tyres, but for maximum capability you put the metal outriggers down. These are extremely stiff, but that does mean that they will fully support the model, and you can pose it with the tyres completely off the ground if you like. The pads at the end of the beams are pinned, so whatever angle the beams are at, the pads are always flat on the ground. To give the operator the best possible view, the cab elevates on a parallelogram mechanism, and that raises and lowers on the model, and the cylinders are stiff enough to enable the cab to be posed in the up position. The functionality of the clamshell is very good. It rotates fully on its connection, and it can be posed in an open or closed position, or indeed any position in between, because the cylinders again are quite stiff, so it'll hold any pose that you set. Turning to the movement of the boom and the stick, it's very good. As you can see here, it stretches out far, and of course it will reach down below the level of the machine if it was reaching down into a ship's hold. NZG have made the boom and stick cylinders very stiff, so you can display the model in any pose that you want. Because this is a high-rise machine, it's not something that would be transported like this on a low loader. That's why the boom has lifting eyes, so it can be dismantled. But if you take the clamshell off, you can fold up the boom and the stick, and then lower the boom completely so it could be dismantled. This model looks great in OBM livery, and NZG have also produced the Sennebogen 835M materials handler in the same colour scheme, and they make a great matching pair. In summary, this is a very well executed model of an interesting machine. The details are very good, as is the functionality, and of course it looks great in the OBM colour scheme. It is highly recommended.